Political Ethics of Chanakya. Chapter 1. 1. Humbly bowing down before the Almighty Lord Sri Vishnu, the Lord of the three worlds, I recite maxims of the science of political ethics selected from the various scriptures. 2. That man who by the study of these maxims from the Shastras acquires a knowledge of the most celebrated principles of duty, and understands what ought and what ought not to be followed, and what is good and what is bad, is most excellent. 3. Therefore with an eye to the public good, I shall speak that which, when understood, will lead to an understanding of things in their proper perspective. 4. Even a pandit comes to grief by giving instruction to a foolish disciple, by maintaining a wicked wife, and by excessive familiarity with the miserable. 5. A wicked wife, a false friend, a saucy servant and living in a house with a serpent in it are nothing but death. 6. One should save his money against hard times, save his wife at the sacrifice of his riches, but invariably one should save his soul even at the sacrifice of his wife and riches. 7. Save your wealth against future calamity. Do not say, "What fear has a rich man of calamity?" When riches begin to forsake one, even the accumulated stock dwindles away. 8. Do not inhabit a country where you are not respected, cannot earn your livelihood, have no friends, or cannot acquire knowledge. 9. Do not stay for a single day where there are not these 5 persons: a wealthy man, a Brahmin well versed in Vedic lore, a king, a river and a physician. 10. Wise men should never go into a country where there are no means of earning one's livelihood, where the people have no dread of anybody, have no sense of shame, no intelligence, or a charitable disposition. 11. Test a servant while in the discharge of his duty, a relative in difficulty, a friend in adversity, and a wife in misfortune. 12. He is a true friend who does not forsake us in time of need, misfortune, famine, or war, in a king's court, or at the crematorium, smasana. 13. He who gives up what is imperishable for that which is perishable, loses that which is imperishable, and doubtlessly loses that which is perishable also. 14. A wise man should marry a virgin of a respectable family even if she is deformed. He should not marry one of unequal status through beauty. Marriage in a family of equal status is preferable. 15. Do not put your trust in rivers, men who carry weapons, beasts with claws or horns, women, and members of a royal family. 16. Even from poison extract nectar, wash and take back gold if it has fallen in filth, receive the highest knowledge, Kursna consciousness, from any person. So also a girl possessing virtuous qualities, Stri Ratna, even if she were born in a disreputable family. 17. Women have hunger 2-fold, shyness 4-fold, daring 6-fold, and lust 8-fold as compared to men. Chapter 2. 1. Untruthfulness, rashness, guile, stupidity, avarice, uncleanliness and cruelty are a woman's 7 natural flaws. 2. To have ability for eating when dishes are ready at hand, to be robust and virile in the company of one's religiously wedded wife, and to have a mind for making charity when one is prosperous are the fruits of no ordinary austerities. 3. He whose son is obedient to him, whose wife's conduct is in accordance with his wishes, and who is content with his riches, has his heaven here on earth. 4. They alone are sons who are devoted to their father. He is a father who supports his sons. He is a friend in whom we can confide, and she only is a wife in whose company the husband feels contented and peaceful. 5. Avoid him who talks sweetly before you but tries to ruin you behind your back, for he is like a pitcher of poison with milk on top. 6. Do not put your trust in a bad companion nor even trust an ordinary friend, for if he should get angry with you, he may bring all your secrets to light. 7. Do not reveal what you have thought upon doing, but by wise counsel keep it secret, being determined to carry it into execution. 8. Foolishness is indeed painful, and verily so is youth, but more painful by far than either is being obliged in another person's house. 9. There does not exist a pearl in every mountain, nor a pearl in the head of every elephant. Neither are the sawdust to be found everywhere, nor sandal trees in every forest. Note. Only elephants in royal palaces are seen decorated with pearls, precious stones, on their heads. 10. Wise men should always bring up their sons in various moral ways, for children who have knowledge of Niti Sastra and are well behaved become a glory to their family. 11. Those parents who do not educate their sons are their enemies. For as is a crane among swans, so are ignorant sons in a public assembly. 12. Many a bad habit is developed through overindulgence, and many a good one by chastisement. Therefore beat your son as well as your pupil. Never indulge them. Spare the rod and spoil the child. 13. Let not a single day pass without your learning a verse, half a verse, or a fourth of it, or even one letter of it, nor without attending to charity, study and other pious activity. 14. Separation from the wife, disgrace from one's own people, an enemy saved in battle, service to a wicked king, poverty, and a mismanaged assembly. These 6 kinds of evils, if afflicting a person, burn him even without fire. 15. Trees on a riverbank, a woman in another man's house, and kings without counselors go without doubt to swift destruction. 16. A Brahman's strength is in his learning, a king's strength is in his army, a Vaishya's strength is in his wealth and a Shudra's strength is in his attitude of service. 17. The prostitute has to forsake a man who has no money, the subject a king that cannot defend him, the birds a tree that bears no fruit, and the guests a house after they have finished their meals. 18. Brahmins quit their patrons after receiving alms from them, scholars leave their teachers after receiving education from them, and animals desert a forest that has been burnt down. 19. He who befriends a man whose conduct is vicious, whose vision impure, and who is notoriously crooked, is rapidly ruined. 20. Friendship between equals flourishes, service under a king is respectable, it is good to be business-minded in public dealings, and a handsome lady is safe in her own home. Chapter 3. 1. In this world, whose family is there without blemish? Who is free from sickness and grief? Who is forever happy? 2. A man's descent may be discerned by his conduct, his country by his pronunciation of language, his friendship by his warmth and glow, and his capacity to eat by his body. 3. Give your daughter in marriage to a good family, engage your son in learning, see that your enemy comes to grief, and engage your friends in dharma. Krishna consciousness. 4. Of a rascal and a serpent, the serpent is the better of the two, for he strikes only at the time he is destined to kill, while the former at every step. 5. Therefore kings gather round themselves men of good families, for they never forsake them either at the beginning, the middle or the end. 6. At the time of the pralaya, universal destruction, the oceans are to exceed their limits and seek to change, but a saintly man never changes. 7. Do not keep company with a fool, for as we can see he is a two-legged beast. Like an unseen thorn he pierces the heart with his sharp words. 8. Though men be endowed with beauty and youth and born in noble families, yet without education they are like the palasa flower, which is void of sweet fragrance. 9. The beauty of a cuckoo is in its notes, that of a woman in her unalloyed devotion to her husband, that of an ugly person in his scholarship, and that of an ascetic in his forgiveness. 10. Give up a member to save a family to save a village to save a country, and a country to save yourself. 11. There is no poverty for the industrious. Sin does not attach itself to the person practicing japa, chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Those who are absorbed in maunam, silent contemplation of the Lord, have no quarrel with others. They are fearless who remain always alert. 12-13. What is too heavy for the strong and what place is too distant for those who put forth effort? What country is foreign to a man of true learning? Who can be inimical to one who speaks pleasingly? 14. As a whole forest becomes fragrant by the existence of a single tree with sweet-smelling blossoms in it, so a family becomes famous by the birth of a virtuous son. 15. As a single withered tree, if set aflame, causes a whole forest to burn, so does a rascal son destroy a whole family. 16. As night looks delightful when the moon shines, so is a family gladdened by even one learned and virtuous son. 17. What is the use of having many sons if they cause grief and vexation? It is better to have only one son from whom the whole family can derive support and peacefulness. 18. Fondle a son until he is 5 years of age, and use the stick for another 10 years, but when he has attained his 16th year treat him as a friend. 19. He who runs away from a fearful calamity, a foreign invasion, a terrible famine, and the companionship of wicked men is safe. 20. He who has not acquired one of the following: religious merit, dharma, wealth, artha, satisfaction of desires, kama, or liberation, moksha, is repeatedly born to die. 21. Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, comes of her own accord where fools are not respected, grain is well stored up, and the husband and wife do not quarrel. Chapter 4. 1. These 5. The lifespan, the type of work, wealth, learning and the time of one's death are determined while one is in the womb. 2. Offspring, friends and relatives flee from a devotee of the Lord. Yet those who follow him bring merit to their families through their devotion. 3. Fish, tortoises, and birds bring up their young by means of sight, attention and touch, so do saintly men afford protection to their associates by the same means. 4. As long as your body is healthy and under control and death is distant, try to save your soul. When death is imminent, what can you do? 5. Learning is like a cow of desire. It, like her, yields in all seasons. Like a mother, it feeds you on your journey. Therefore learning is a hidden treasure. 6. A single sun endowed with good qualities is far better than 100 devoid of them. For the moon, though one, dispels the darkness, which the stars, though numerous, cannot. 7. A stillborn son is superior to a foolish son endowed with a long life. The first causes grief for but a moment while the latter like a blazing fire consumes his parents in grief for life. 8. Residing in a small village devoid of proper living facilities, serving a person born of a low family, unwholesome food, a frowning wife, a foolish son, and a widowed daughter burn the body without fire. 9. What good is a cow that neither gives milk nor conceives? Similarly, what is the value of the birth of a son if he becomes neither learned nor a pure devotee of the Lord? 10. When one is consumed by the sorrows of life, 3 things give him relief: offspring, a wife, and the company of the Lord's devotees. 11. Kings speak for once, men of learning once, and the daughter is given in marriage once. All these things happen once and only once. 12. Religious austerities should be practiced alone, study by 2, and singing by 3. A journey should be undertaken by 4, agriculture by 5, and war by many together. 13. She is a true wife who is clean, sukhi, expert, chaste, pleasing to the husband, and truthful. 14. The house of a childless person is a void. All directions are void to one who has no relatives. The heart of a fool is also void, but to a poverty-stricken man all is void. 15. Scriptural lessons not put into practice are poison. A meal is poison to him who suffers from indigestion. A social gathering is poison to a poverty-stricken person, and a young wife is poison to an aged man. 16. That man who is without religion and mercy should be rejected. A guru without spiritual knowledge should be rejected. The wife with an offensive face should be given up, and so should relatives who are without affection. 17. Constant travel brings old age upon a man. A horse becomes old by being constantly tied up. Lack of sexual contact with her husband brings old age upon a woman, and garments become old through being left in the sun. 18. Consider again and again the following: the right time, the right friends, the right place, the right means of income, the right ways of spending, and from whom you derive your power. 19. For the twice born the fire, Agni, as a representative of God. The Supreme Lord resides in the heart of his devotees. Those of average intelligence, Alpa Buddhi or Kanista Adhikari, see God only in his Srimurti, but those of broad vision see the Supreme Lord everywhere. Chapter 5. 1. Agni is worth worship for the twice born, the Brahmana for the other castes, the husband for the wife, and the guest who comes for food at the midday meal for all. 2. As gold is tested in 4 ways by rubbing, cutting, heating and beating, so a man should be tested by these 4 things: his renunciation, his conduct, his qualities and his actions. 3. A thing may be dreaded as long as it has not overtaken you, but once it has come upon you, try to get rid of it without hesitation. 4. Though persons be born from the same womb and under the same stars, they do not become alike in disposition as the 1,000 fruits of the Badari tree. 5. He whose hands are clean does not like to hold an office. He who desires nothing cares not for bodily decorations. He who is only partially educated cannot speak agreeably, and he who speaks out plainly cannot be a deceiver. 6. The learned are envied by the foolish, rich men by the poor, chaste women by adulteresses, and beautiful ladies by ugly ones. 7. Indolent application ruins study. Money is lost when entrusted to others. A farmer who sows his seed sparsely is ruined, and an army is lost for want of a commander. 8. Learning is retained through putting into practice. Family prestige is maintained through good behavior. A respectable person is recognized by his excellent qualities, and anger is seen in the eyes. 9. Religion is preserved by wealth, knowledge by diligent practice, a king by conciliatory words, and a home by a dutiful housewife. 10. Those who blaspheme Vedic wisdom, who ridicule the lifestyle recommended in the Satras, and who deride men of peaceful temperament, come to grief unnecessarily. 11. Charity puts an end to poverty, righteous conduct to misery, discretion to ignorance, and scrutiny to fear. 12. There is no disease so destructive as lust, no enemy like infatuation, no fire like wrath, and no happiness like spiritual knowledge. 13. A man is born alone and dies alone, and he experiences the good and bad consequences of his karma alone, and he goes alone to hell or the supreme abode. 14. Heaven is but a straw to him who knows spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. So is life to a valiant man, a woman to him who has subdued his senses, and the universe to him who is without attachment for the world. 15. Learning is a friend on the journey, a wife in the house, medicine in sickness, and religious merit is the only friend after death. 16. Rain which falls upon the sea is useless, so is food for one who is satiated, in vain is a gift for one who is wealthy, and a burning lamp during the daytime is useless. 17. There is no water like rainwater, no strength like one's own, no light like that of the eyes, and no wealth more dear than food grain. 18. The poor wish for wealth, animals for the faculty of speech, men wish for heaven, and godly persons for liberation. 19. The earth is supported by the power of truth. It is the power of truth that makes the sunshine and the winds blow. Indeed, all things rest upon truth. 20. The goddess of wealth is unsteady, chanchala, and so is the life breath. The duration of life is uncertain, and the place of habitation is uncertain. But in all this inconsistent world, religious merit alone is immovable. 21. Among men the barber is cunning, among birds the crow, among beasts the jackal, and among women, the malan, flower girl. 22. These 5 are your fathers. He who gave you birth, girdled you with sacred thread, teaches you, provides you with food, and protects you from fearful situations. 23. These 5 should be considered as mothers: the king's wife, the preceptor's wife, the friend's wife, your wife's mother, and your own mother. Chapter 6. 1. By means of hearing one understands dharma, malignity vanishes, knowledge is acquired, and liberation from material bondage is gained. 2. Among birds the crow is vile, among beasts the dog. The ascetic who sins is abominable, but he who blasphemes others is the worst chandala. 3. Brass is polished by ashes, copper is cleaned by tamarind, a woman by her periods, and a river by its flow. 4. The king, the brahmana, and the ascetic yogi who go abroad are respected, but the woman who wanders is utterly ruined. 5. He who has wealth has friends. He who is wealthy has relatives. The rich one alone is called a man, and the affluent alone are respected as pandits. 6. As is the desire of providence, so functions one's intellect. One's activities are also controlled by providence, and by the will of providence one is surrounded by helpers. 7. Time perfects all living beings as well as kills them. It alone is awake when all others are asleep. Time is insurmountable. 8. Those born blind cannot see. Similarly blind are those in the grip of lust. Proud men have no perception of evil, and those bent on acquiring riches see no sin in their actions. 9. The spirit soul goes through his own course of karma and he himself suffers the good and bad results thereby accrued. By his own actions he entangles himself in samsara, and by his own efforts he extricates himself. 10. The king is obliged to accept the sins of his subjects. The purohit, priest, suffers for those of the king. A husband suffers for those of his wife, and the guru suffers for those of his pupils. 11. A father who is a chronic debtor, an adulterous mother, a beautiful wife, and an unlearned son are enemies, in one's own home. 12. Conciliate a covetous man by means of a gift, an obstinate man with folded hands in salutation, a fool by humoring him, and a learned man by truthful words. 13. It is better to be without a kingdom than to rule over a petty one. Better to be without a friend than to befriend a rascal. Better to be without a disciple than to have a stupid one. And better to be without a wife than to have a bad one. 14. How can people be made happy in a petty kingdom? What peace can we expect from a rascal friend? What happiness can we have at home in the company of a bad wife? How can renown be gained by instructing an unworthy disciple? 15. Learn one thing from a lion, 1 from a crane, 4 a cock, 5 from a crow, 6 from a dog, and 3 from an ass. 16. The one excellent thing that can be learned from a lion is that whatever a man intends doing should be done by him with a whole-hearted and strenuous effort. 17. The wise man should restrain his senses like the crane and accomplish his purpose with due knowledge of his place, time and ability. 18. To wake at the proper time, to take a bold stand and fight, to make a fair division of property among relations, and to earn one's own bread by personal exertion are the 4 excellent things to be learned from a cock. 19. Union in privacy, with one's wife, boldness, storing away useful items, watchfulness, and not easily trusting others. These 5 things are to be learned from a crow. 20. Contentment with little or nothing to eat although one may have a great appetite. To awaken instantly although one may be in a deep slumber. Unflinching devotion to the master. And bravery. These 6 qualities should be learned from the dog. 21. Although an ass is tired, he continues to carry his burden. He is unmindful of cold and heat, and he is always contented. These 3 things should be learned from the ass. 22. He who shall practice these 20 virtues shall become invincible in all his undertakings. Chapter 7. 1. A wise man should not reveal his loss of wealth, the vexation of his mind, the misconduct of his own wife, base words spoken by others, and disgrace that has befallen him. 2. He who gives up shyness in monetary dealings, in acquiring knowledge, in eating and in business, becomes happy. 3. The happiness and peace attained by those satisfied by the nectar of spiritual tranquility is not attained by greedy persons restlessly moving here and there. 4. One should feel satisfied with the following 3 things: his own wife, food given by providence and wealth acquired by honest effort. But one should never feel satisfied with the following 3: study, chanting the holy names of the Lord, japa, and charity. 5. Do not pass between 2 brahmanas, between a brahmana and his sacrificial fire, between a wife and her husband, a master and his servant, and a plow and an ox. 6. Do not let your foot touch fire, the spiritual master or a brahmana. It must never touch a cow, a virgin, an old person or a child. 7. Keep 1,000 cubits away from an elephant, 100 from a horse, 10 from a horned beast, but keep away from the wicked by leaving the country. 8. An elephant is controlled by a goad, ankusha, a horse by a slap of the hand, a horned animal with the show of a stick, and a rascal with a sword. 9. Brahmanas find satisfaction in a good meal, peacocks in the peal of thunder, a sadhu in seeing the prosperity of others, and the wicked in the misery of others. 10. Conciliate a strong man by submission, a wicked man by opposition, and the one whose power is equal to yours by politeness or force, greater than. 11. The power of a king lies in his mighty arms, that of a brahmana in his spiritual knowledge, and that of a woman in her beauty, youth, and sweet words. 12. Do not be very upright in your dealings, for you would see by going to the forest that straight trees are cut down while crooked ones are left standing. 13. Swans live wherever there is water, and leave the place where water dries up. Let not a man act so, and comes and goes as he pleases. 14. Accumulated wealth is saved by spending just as incoming fresh water is saved by letting out stagnant water. 15. He who has wealth has friends and relations. He alone survives and is respected as a man. 16. The following 4 characteristics of the denizens of heaven may be seen in the residents of this earth planet: charity, sweet words, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and satisfying the needs of brahmanas. 17. The following qualities of the denizens of hell may characterize men on earth: extreme wrath, harsh speech, enmity with one's relations, the company with the base, and service to men of low extraction. 18. By going to the den of a lion, pearls from the head of an elephant may be obtained. But by visiting the hole of a jackal, nothing but the tail of a calf or a bit of the hide of an ass may be found. 19. The life of an uneducated man is as useless as the tail of a dog, which neither covers its rear end, nor protects it from the bites of insects. 20. Purity of speech, of the mind, of the senses, and a compassionate heart are needed by one who desires to rise to the divine platform. 21. As you seek fragrance in a flower, oil in the sesame seed, fire in wood, ghee, butter, in milk, and jaggery, gouda, in sugarcane, so seek the spirit that is in the body by means of discrimination. Greater than. Chapter 8. Low men desire wealth. Middle-class men both wealth and respect. But the noble, honor only. Hence honor is the noble man's true wealth. 3. The lamp eats up the darkness and therefore it produces blackened lamp. In the same way, according to the nature of our diet, sattva, rajas, or tamas, we produce offspring in similar quality. 4. O wise man! Give your wealth only to the worthy and never to others. The water of the sea received by the clouds is always sweet. The rainwater enlivens all living beings of the earth, both movable, insects, animals, humans, etc., and immovable, plants, trees, etc., and then returns to the ocean where its value is multiplied a millionfold. 5. The wise who discern the essence of things have declared that the yavana, meat-eater, is equal in baseness to 1,000 Candalas, the lowest class, and hence a yavana is the basest of men. Indeed, there is no one more base. 6. After having rubbed oil on the body, after encountering the smoke from a funeral pyre, after sexual intercourse, and after being shaved, one remains a chandala until he bathes. 7. Water is the medicine for indigestion. It is invigorating when the food that is eaten is well digested. It is like nectar when drunk in the middle of a dinner, and it is like poison when taken at the end of a meal. 8. Knowledge is lost without putting it into practice. A man is lost due to ignorance. An army is lost without a commander, and a woman is lost without a husband. 9. A man who encounters the following three is unfortunate: the death of his wife in his old age, the entrusting of money into the hands of relatives, and depending upon others for food. 10. Chanting of the Vedas without making ritualistic sacrifices to the Supreme Lord through the medium of Agni, and sacrifices not followed by bountiful gifts are futile. Perfection can be achieved only through devotion to the Supreme Lord, for devotion is the basis of all success. 13. There is no austerity equal to a balanced mind, and there is no happiness equal to contentment. There is no disease like covetousness, and no virtue like mercy. 14. Anger is a personification of Yama, the demigod of death. Thirst is like the hellish river Vaitarani. Knowledge is like a Kamadhenu, the cow of plenty, and contentment is like Nandanavana, the garden of Indra. 15. Moral excellence is an ornament for personal beauty, righteous conduct, for high birth, success for learning, and proper spending for wealth. 16. Beauty is spoiled by an immoral nature, noble birth by bad conduct, learning, without being perfected, and wealth by not being properly utilized. 17. Water seeping into the earth is pure, and a devoted wife is pure. The king who is the benefactor of his people is pure, and pure is the Brahmana who is contented. 18. Discontented Brahmanas, contented kings, shy prostitutes, and immodest housewives are ruined. 19. Of what avail is a high birth if a person is destitute of scholarship? A man who is of low extraction is honored even by the demigods if he is learned. 20. A learned man is honored by the people. A learned man commands respect everywhere for his learning. Indeed, learning is honored everywhere. 21. Those who are endowed with beauty and youth and who are born of noble families are worthless if they have no learning. They are just like the kimshuka blossoms, flowers of the palasa tree, which, though beautiful, have no fragrance. 22. The earth is encumbered with the weight of the flesh-eaters, wine-bibblers, dolts, dull and stupid, and blockheads, who are beasts in the form of men. 23. There is no enemy like a yajna, sacrifice, which consumes the kingdom when not attended by feeding on a large scale, consumes the priest when the chanting is not done properly, and consumes the yajman, the responsible person, when the gifts are not made. Chapter 9. 1. If you desire to be free from the cycle of birth and death, then abandon the objects of sense gratification as poison. Drink instead the nectar of forbearance, upright conduct, mercy, cleanliness and truth. 2. Those base men who speak of the secret faults of others destroy themselves like serpents that stray onto anthills. 3. Perhaps nobody has advised Lord Brahma, the Creator, to impart perfume to gold, fruit to the sugarcane, flowers to the sandalwood tree, wealth to the learned, and long life to the king. 4. Nectar, Amrita, is the best among medicines. Eating good food is the best of all types of material happiness. The eye is the chief among all organs, and the head occupies the chief position among all parts of the body. 5. No messenger can travel about in the sky and no tidings come from there. The voice of its inhabitants is never heard, nor can any contact be established with them. Therefore the Brahmana who predicts the eclipse of the sun and moon, which occur in the sky, must be considered as a vidwan, man of great learning. 6. The student, the servant, the traveler, the hungry person, the frightened man, the treasury guard, and the steward, these 7 ought to be awakened if they fall asleep. 7. The serpent, the king, the tiger, the stinging wasp, the small child, the dog owned by other people, and the fool, these 7 ought not to be awakened from sleep. 8. Of those who have studied the Vedas for material rewards, and those who accept foodstuffs offered by Shudras, what potency have they? They are just like serpents without fangs. 9. He who neither rouses fear by his anger, nor confers a favor when he is pleased can neither control nor protect. What can he do? 10. The serpent may, without being poisonous, raise high its hood, but the show of terror is enough to frighten people whether he be venomous or not. 11. Wise men spend their mornings in discussing gambling, the afternoon discussing the activities of women, and the night hearing about the activities of theft. The first item above refers to the gambling of King Yudhisthira, the great devotee of Krishna. The second item refers to the glorious deeds of Mother Sita, the consort of Lord Ramachandra. The third item hints at the adorable childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna who stole butter from the elderly cowherd ladies of Gokula. Hence Chanakya Pandita advises wise persons to spend the morning absorbed in Mahabharata, the afternoon studying Ramayana, and the evening devotedly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. 12. By preparing a garland for a deity with one's own hand, by grinding sandal paste for the Lord with one's own hand, and by writing sacred texts with one's own hand one becomes blessed with opulence equal to that of Indra. 14. Poverty is set off by fortitude, shabby garments by keeping them clean, bad food by warming it, and ugliness by good behavior. Chapter 10. 1. One destitute of wealth is not destitute, he is indeed rich, if he is learned, but the man devoid of learning is destitute in every way. 2. We should carefully scrutinize that place upon which we step, having it ascertained to be free from filth and living creatures like insects, etc. We should drink water, which has been filtered, through a clean cloth. We should speak only those words, which have the sanction of the Satras, and do that act which we have carefully considered. 3. He who desires sense gratification must give up all thoughts of acquiring knowledge, and he who seeks knowledge must not hope for sense gratification. How can he who seeks sense gratification acquire knowledge, and he who possesses knowledge enjoy mundane sense pleasure? 4. What is it that escapes the observation of poets? What is that act women are incapable of doing? What will drunken people not prate? What will not a crow eat? 5. Fate makes a beggar a king and a king a beggar. He makes a rich man poor and a poor man rich. 6. The beggar is a miser's enemy. The wise counselor is the fool's enemy. Her husband is an adulterous wife's enemy, and the moon is the enemy of the thief. 7. Those who are destitute of learning, penance, knowledge, good disposition, virtue and benevolence are brutes wandering the earth in the form of men. They are burdensome to the earth. 8. Those that are empty-minded cannot be benefited by instruction. Bamboo does not acquire the quality of sandalwood by being associated with the Malaya mountain. 9. What good can the scriptures do to a man who has no sense of his own? Of what use is as mirror to a blind man? 10. Nothing can reform a bad man, just as the posteriors cannot become a superior part of the body though washed 100 times.